Virginia, you remember to say a special Christmas prayer for Mrs. Donnelly.
I will, Mama. And she'll get well. That's all Maria wants for Christmas. For her mother to get well. That's all she wants from Santa Claus.
The shame of greatness. Good stuff, Frank. Very good stuff. You working on that Tammany Hall story? How's it coming?
It's coming.
Will it be finished in time to give the boys at City Hall a Christmas present?
It's going to blow the pants off the boys at City Hall. If you print it.
You write it, Francis. I'll print it.
Ask the captains of industry. Ask the robber barons. Ask the politicians about that bridge. That's the way I'd like to be able to write someday, Mr. Church. With both fists. Like John L. Sullivan. Yes, sir. A real humdinger.
In case you haven't heard, John L. Sullivan is no longer champion. He was beat by James J. Corbett, who was then beat by Bob Fitzsimmons.
Yes, sir, I know that. But as far as I'm concerned, John L. Sullivan will always be the champion. Yes, sir. A real humdinger. Ask the captains of industry. Ask the robber barons. Ask the politicians about that route.
Hope Mr. Mitchell doesn't cut half of this. Take Mr. Coffee.
Miss Borland.
Yes?
I suppose you expect me to thank you.
For what?
Don't be precious. For writing that article and bylining my name.
No, Mr. Church. I owe you thanks.
For what?
Do you remember lecturing a journalism class at NYU a few years ago?
Not particularly.
Well, I was one of 3 females in that class. I was ready to quit until that day. It's because of what you said that I didn't. What you said and what you've written.
Miss Borland.
So please, accept my thanks. Besides, they were your ideas. All I did was rearrange a few words.
If you say so. But about that article, tomorrow it will be yesterday's newspaper and you can wrap a fish in it.
What do you mean?
I mean, nothing that you or I or anybody else writes for a newspaper has a lifespan of more than 24 hours.
I don't believe that.
That's your privilege. And your delusion. Now, if you'll excuse me. By the way, what happened to the other 2 females in that class?
They got married.
They showed uncommonly good common sense.
Well, little girl, you gonna buy something or just touch it all?
I'm sorry. I was just looking.
Looking and touching, touching and looking. Thinking of taking something, too?
No.
I have to watch you little kids all the time. There's a law against stealing, you know.
I wasn't going to steal anything. Honest.
Your old man's still out of work, right?
Yes,
You
but...
little beggars are all the same.
Do you hear me begging?
Just move along, why don't you?
But I've got money. See? I've got money. But I won't be spending it here. Daily, get your son, daily. Daily, daily, get your son, daily. Daily, daily. How much? 2 cents. You want a paper, little girl? Not now. Thanks anyway. Okay. Daily, daily, get your son, daily. Right here, the New York Sun, daily.
Heaven help him. Who's calling my name? Ah, hello there, Puss. It looks like you and me both could use a friend right now, eh? What do you say, Tommy? Shall we be friends? Shall we be friends? Stop that man! He's a thief! Stop him! There's a thief out there! Get him! Hold him! Hold him! Which one is it? They both look like thieves to me.
Grab! He's the man you want! Look, he's got a knife!
I was waiting right over there when he came running outside.
What are we waiting for?
My newspaper. They sell them on the corners, Bob, not in the alleys. Yesterday's newspaper in the trash. Surely one of you people can identify this man as a thief.
Well, I don't think I can help you, officers. I'm O'Hara.
Well, where's your kitchen help?
Misery?
Sure, he knows me. He knows I'm waiting there every day for my newspaper.
Misery's out on an errand.
And what's going on here?
A thief. One of these 2 men. Come up behind me, knocked me over the head, and stole the money out of the cash box.
Well, then that's it, isn't it? The thief would have the money on him, wouldn't he?
Get him! Get him!
That's it. Okay. Hold him. Well, not really worth going to jail for. But a decent day's take in these times, I suppose. Put him in.
I'll get you for this. You'll see! I'll get you!
A lucky day for you. Senior Officer Flynn, I'd like to thank you, Mr.
James O'Hanlon.
O'Hanlon, huh? It's a good name. Quick thinking. And good with your fist, too.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I apologize for the mistake.
No harm done.
I can't thank you enough, Mr. O'Hanlon. It's true, business ain't been so good lately, and I can't offer you a reward. But might I offer yourself and your family a bit of fresh baked bread and some cold cuts?
Well, sir,
Please, Mr. O'Hanlon, it's the least I could do.
I'm sure my family would be very grateful.
Well, come on inside, then. I'll serve you a hot Irish while I get your things.
That would be grand.
Tis the thief.
Miss Borland. Andrea Borland.
Have we met?
Well, just now.
Then how do you know my name?
I'm a newspaperman, Miss Borland. Cornelius Barrington. It's my business to know things and people. You're a damn fine writer.
You've read my society pieces?
No. Your article, The Shame of Greatness?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure you do. We both do. How would you like to work for my paper, The Chronicle?
Do you own the Chronicle, Mr. Barrington?
No, but my uncle does, and that makes things easy for the both of us. Of course, you'd have to take a slightly different perspective of things.
What thing?
Well, you could start by writing an exposé. Call it The Ghost of Frank Church, revealing how you wrote that piece.
I did no such thing, Mr. Barrington. And I strongly advise you to be extremely careful about what you say or write.
Really? Why?
Because my uncle is a lawyer. A damn fine lawyer, and that makes it easy for both of us.
Mr. O'Hanlon. Your paper. Oh, of course. Thanks, Misery. He's right. I tell you, the man's absolutely right.
What is it, James? Who's right?
The man who wrote this article in The Sun. It's entitled The Shame of Greatness.
Well, what's it about?
It's about this country. Children, listen to this. We have become a great nation, but at what cost? Ask the red man, the black man, the immigrant, the elderly, the ill. We have built a railroad across the 45 states and bridges across rivers, but there is no bridge of brotherhood. Why? Because there is no profit in that bridge. Ask the captains of industry. Ask the robber barons. Ask the politicians about that bridge. I tell you, he's absolutely right. It's hard to believe that 50 years ago, our people came to this country because they were starving in Ireland. Potato famine indeed. High rents, ha! It's no different over here.
James, you stop it. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. If I hear one more time about how poor we are, how hungry we are, we've got our health, we've got our family together, we've got a roof over our heads and blankets on our beds. And God. We have God. Now, you can be poor if you want to, James O'Hanlon, but not me. I'm rich, and I grow richer every day of my life.
Oh, yes, Evie, darling. You and the Vanderbilts and the Morgans don't have a worry in the world.
Daddy, who are the Vanderbilts and the Morgans?
A couple of neighbors who live just a little ways across Manhattan.
And here is your evening cape, Mr. Vanderbilt. Just as good as it was this morning.
Well, thank you very kindly, Mrs. Morgan.
You having trouble with something, darling? No, Mama. Just thinking.
I've had a feeling there's been something on your mind.
More than something.
Well, then, let's talk about it.
Papa, is there a Santa Claus?
Oh, Virginia, what makes you ask a question like that?